So the other thing, we talk a lot about sows and gilts and reproduction, but grow finish pigs can get PRRS too. So how do you talk about control or management of a PRRS break in a grow finish barn?
Before talking about control, just a quick glance here on the ecology of the virus in that population. We've done some studies here in the recent years on the dynamics of virus detection, PRRS virus detection over time in those growing pig populations. And Dr. Cesar Moura's PhD thesis today is with Iowa Select folks, but Cesar followed close to 100 batches of grow finished pigs and monitored what happened with those over time and what happened with those if you vaccinate or not, and monitored impacting mortality, average daily gain, that type of stuff. And in summary, if you were raising pigs in high dense areas, right, and not only talking about Iowa and Minnesota, also in North Carolina, the question is not if the pigs are gonna get infected. In a lot of times, in some 90% or more of the situation, is when they're gonna get infected, because most of those pig batches, at least the ones that we monitor, they are exposed to the wild type. And there are two things that are important there. One, that will have implications on your control decisions. One is timing of infection. It makes a lot of difference in terms of growth performance. If those pigs, and if you think about it, that makes a lot of sense. If the pigs got infected early on in the nursery versus late in the nursery, or early finisher versus late in the finisher, the earlier you get infected or expose those pigs with wild type, the worse the growth performance of those pigs, right? That's one important point, which is timing of infection. And the other one is diversity, genetic diversity of wild type detection in those piglets, in those pig populations. So it makes a lot of difference if there is one wild type circulating or one dominant strain versus over the growth period versus more than one, two, three. We found 2, 3, 4, 5 types of virus being detected. So I think we can't treat the grow finish population as they are already positive and categorize PRRS as just yes or no, or positive or not positive. There's a lot of gray and a lot of sub-classifications there. When did they get exposed? How many virus? Which strain? What's the genetic diversity? That all that matters for if you're concerned about mortality, average daily gain. We didn't look much at feed efficiency, but I wouldn't be surprised if there is an impact there too. And so at the end of the day, in our mind, what we really want is, especially if you're in a high dense area where the question is not when, but it's not if, is when you're gonna get exposed, is you wanna get the attenuated virus ahead of the wild type, right? You wanna build that protective immunity ahead of the challenge. And we see that with experimental studies as well as field studies. If you are ahead of the wild type challenge, you can expect more of the vaccine. Of course, if you vaccinate with the wild type or really close to the wild type challenge, you can expect some, but not the full protection that the vaccines can offer. So gotta understand what's happening in the flow that you're concerned with, and try to get that immunity ahead of the challenge. And also don't rely 100% only on the vaccine, right? If we know that diversity and timing of infection matters, do whatever you can to delay that exposure and to minimize that exposure, right? So biosecurity, as much as we talk about the importance of biosecurity for the sow farms, as we should, we also need to bring some of those sow farm biosecurity principles back to grow finish, showering in, showering out, for example. And think about, and not saying that we can't share labor. Sometimes it's an economic decision we have to, but back to your example with processing carts, right? What can we do to add layers of biosecurity protection and downtime and change clothes and shower in, shower out, simple things that that are effective to delay the exposure to wild type and reduce the diversity. You may already be positive, but you're not positive for all the viruses circulating in that region, right?